Terraform Labs founder Do Kwon is back. He is talking in an interview with Zach Guzman over at Coinage Media. He just let his side of the story out. Really interesting piece. Go check this out. Lots of nuggets in there that are certainly worth talking about. I'm going to throw this straight to Jen for her initial thoughts. This is sort of the Do Kwon comeback tour, beginning with a pretty extensive interview here on a fairly new outlet. So very interesting to see this. I'm tossing it to Jen for her thoughts.
Okay, firstly, I want to talk about Coinage. How cool is it? You get to mint a free NFT and then you get access to the platform to consume media. I think that, this is a really interesting way for publishing platforms to allow users to interact with the content and also verify that they are real. So cool. I really enjoyed my experience on Coinage while I was watching the video. Now, on to Do Kwon. So he says in this video that no South Korean regulators have reached out to him in their investigation. That seems odd to me. Either the regulators are really bad at investigating, or he's maybe telling a little bit of a fib. Again, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but it just seems weird that investigators wouldn't reach out to the founder of a project that they are looking into. When you listen to the interview, there's a lot of back and forth that comes out of Do Kwon's mouth that is very worrying. He said, I just didn't think that this would happen. It's funny because he's been revealed as the pseudonymous founder behind another stablecoin that this exactly happened to. So how could he not think that this would happen? That's odd. And I think as a founder of a project, you should be very aware of your blind spots. And if you're not, you need to bring people onto your team who can poke holes into what you're building and identify those blind spots. So when things like this happen, you have a plan. I could go on forever and ever on this, but Wendy, I'm going to pass it to you, and then maybe we'll come back to me for more rants on what Do Kwon said in this interview.
Thank you for actually telling me about that platform. I think it's really cool that we're able to see crypto and NFTs kind of merge together for this platform, essentially kind of for these creators and give people access to it. I think it's absolutely amazing. But I don't have anything nice to say about Do Kwon. I think that I hope he's got PR. I hope he's got really, really good attorneys. And I just think it's very bizarre that he has the audacity to speak out like this and act like, oh, I didn't know, kind of almost play the victim and kind of gaslight the entire community, because the collapse of Terra Luna literally impacted, that was pretty much the start of the crypto contagion that we're seeing. And the fact that he's able to get up and talk about it and be like, oh, I didn't know this was going to happen, and really gaslight the entire community, I think it's just really disrespectful, and I have no interest in watching this. And I don't have anything else positive to say because I feel like I would just get more cringed out as I watch it.
That was a spicy take. I like that. Yeah, there is a degree of hubris here, right? He flew close to the sun and he was so high. The Terra, don't forget, was the UST was the third largest stablecoin for a minute. They were riding high, and then sure enough, the wings melted and Do Kwon came crashing down. It is interesting that, Sam Kessler's scoop about Do Kwon's previous involvement with Basis Cash was confirmed here. So shout out to that. Also interesting that, I think it's disclosed in this piece, rightfully so, that Terraform Labs was an early investor in the parent company of Coinage. So, credit to Zach Guzman for making sure that that's known in the piece itself. Again, it does sort of raise questions of how Do Kwon went about choosing where to tell this story, right? Maybe it's on a little bit of a friendlier playing field, not to discredit the work that's showcased here. And I think, again, the piece itself is pretty balanced in terms of laying out everything that's known and getting some really important material on the record as it relates to, again, what Wendy said was a huge piece of a major crypto crash that ensued after the implosion of the Terra ecosystem. So yeah, check it out. Long piece. Definitely a lot to be discussed, and definitely a lot of strong feelings to be had about it. I'll toss it back to you, Wendy, for final thoughts.
Well, I want to get Jen's final thoughts, but I just want to say, I want to see Do Kwon tell the same exact story to somebody on a different platform, not on this platform. I think that would be a lot more interesting. I think it would be more transparent, and I think that would be a better idea for him to do so. I'm sure PR and attorneys will tell him no, but that's what I want to see. Jen, your final take.
Yeah, he pointed out to the fact that, there's a lot of really technical things that go on behind the scenes that a lot of people wouldn't understand. I think when you're dealing with a crisis to this magnitude, you can't rely on the technical things that are going on behind the scenes. There is a way to communicate. You are a smart man. You can communicate what's happened without having to say, like, you guys are all too dumb to understand the technical things that are going on behind the scenes. I think it was just such a cop-out, and maybe points to the fact that he doesn't really have a good PR team behind him, because this just seems like I would have rather just not heard from him at all than to watch this interview. But those are my final thoughts. I'm sure we will talk about this again as more details come out.